Chairman. First, want to thank you for your work and for Vice Chair Bernal's work on this bill. There's a lot of good stuff in it. I voted for this bill out of committee. As I've said before, I would vote for a $1 increase for our public schools. And so I do want to acknowledge that this is a good step forward. But as I mentioned in committee, I don't want to overpromise the people of Texas what this bill will do. So I just want to ask you a few questions. Is it true that this bill doesn't catch our schools up to 2019 funding levels?
This bill and other pieces of legislation, some that have passed this body already, will provide more than $10 billion
yes.
in public education funding.
Yes, sir. My question is, will, in total, that catch our schools up to 2019 funding levels? I was a co-author of House Bill 3 back in 2019. I know you worked on that legislation too. Will this bill, along with other bills, catch us up to those funding levels back in 2019?
You know, Mr. Talarico, I think the inflationary environment that our districts have had, that our businesses have suffered through, that our families have suffered through, have created tremendous gaps in lots of funding. But House Bill 2 is a significant investment. It is I think Vice Chairman Bernal made a great statement this morning as we met with members of the press, and that was this, is that school funding and public education funding in particular cannot be viewed as a sculpture. It's a garden. And so this is planting that seed to build our way back to making sure that our schools have the resources they need. And again, I just want to emphasize, members, you have an opportunity today to cast a vote for the largest investment in public education in the history of our state. And so we will continue this process as this body returns session after session to make sure the resources are there for our schools.
And I know that you've said a couple times that this is a historic investment. Would you also acknowledge that our schools are in a historic hole financially?
Yeah, you know, if you look around my district and other districts, and I've visited with some of you, you've invited me to your cities and your counties. You know, we've had real heart-to-heart talks with our school leaders, teachers and parents. And, you know, there's no doubt that the inflationary environment of the last few years has hit our schools. And, you know, some have had resources to provide the things. You know, some have given teacher pay raises along the way. Others have not been able to. But House Bill 2 really speaks to that. And again, it provides a tremendous investment to help them get back where we know they need to be.
Okay, but I want to make sure we're nailing down an answer. This does not get us out of that historic hole that our schools are in since 2019. I want to make sure we're getting a clear answer on whether or not this bill, along with other bills, in total would catch our schools up. Because, Chairman, the comptroller says it would take $15 billion to catch our schools up to 2019 funding levels. So my interpretation of this bill, even linked with other bills, would not catch us up to those 2019 funding levels. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mr. Talarico, what I would do is I would have you go around this floor and talk to each members that have talked to their superintendents, like I have over the last couple of days, and find out, you know, what this bill does for them. Chairman, I have not had one superintendent that I've talked with in my district that has not seen this as a significant investment that allows them to do the things they need to do.
Of course. I think all superintendents would appreciate any increase in funding. My question to you, and I just want a straight answer. I'm trying to be respectful in my questioning of you. I'd like a respectful answer in return. Will this bill catch us up to 2019 funding levels? That's a yes or no question.
I believe that this is a bipartisan effort to close the gap. No.
I'm going to take that as a no until I get a yes. I want...
The gallery will refrain from making these remarks or outbursts during the debate.
Chairman, in terms of teacher pay, do you have an idea of how much this bill will raise teacher pay on average? I know that's a complicated question, but do we have a general sense of what teacher pay increases will look like?
Yeah, the bill requires anywhere from about $3,500 to $7,000, but it could be more based on district to district.
And do you know what it would take to get average teacher pay in Texas to the national average? Again, I don't think Texas should be average in anything. I want us to be the best in all things, but just to get us to the national average, do you know what kind of teacher pay increase we would need to do that?
Well, I think it's important to note that the bill provides targeted resources for teachers with 5 years of experience and more targeted resources for teachers with 10 years of experience. And I think one of the things that we have done in time in Texas is we have chased the starting salary, but we've not invested in our more experienced teachers except through teacher incentive allotment. I want to thank Vice Chair Bernal for his hard work on making sure that we invest in teachers with 5 or 10 years of experience. And once you do that, you're going to see the average change. And I think this is a tremendous step towards paying our teachers significant increases that they deserve.
And the answer was $10,000. That's what we would need on average to get our teachers just to the national average on teacher pay, and this bill fails to do that. I appreciate your answers. You know, we have schools closing across the state, in my district, in your area, in areas across Texas. Do you feel that this bill meets the moment and will be able to stop those school closures that are happening across our state?
You know, I think it speaks to the most significant investment in public schools in our history. And I believe it's also going to give our school districts the opportunities, those that are suffering from a decline in enrollment and those that are facing other challenges, it's going to give them a lifeline to evaluate the way they do school and hopefully to keep more neighborhood schools open so that kids can enjoy that same experience in public school that I did.
I think with schools closing all over the state, with Texas teachers making less than they did 10 years ago when you adjust for inflation, with educators driving Ubers at night to make extra money, this bill fails to meet the moment, and this bill is wholly inadequate to the crisis that we face. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair advises our guests that under House rules, demonstrations or outbursts by visitors in the gallery are strictly prohibited. If there are additional demonstrations or outbursts in the gallery, the chair will order the Sergeant-at-Arms to clear the gallery under the House's constitutional authority to prevent obstructions of its proceedings.